Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rag Company Podcast, Part 2. Actually, no, this
part
is
two.
A new
It's like
segment.
Hot Shots Part 2.
I feel we should call it Comments of the Week.
I'd prefer to call it Rag Company Podcast Main Show Part 2, Legend of Curly's Gold.
Revenge of the Podcast.
Revenge of the podcast.
I like that. That's my favorite.
Curse of the Black Pearl. Dead Man's Chest.
So, this podcast is going to be a little bit different than our
Revenge
other
of the
podcasts.
Fallen. Oh, that's a good one.
Man, there are too many Transformers movies.
This is great.
Okay.
The Dark Knight.
We are already off topic, and we haven't even explained what the topic is yet. So, as my title for it may imply, Comments of the Week. These are things where hopefully every week, if we can, we'll do a second show, as many weeks as possible, where we just touch on stuff that's in the TRC sphere. So this could be comments or messages we've received, say in our emails. It could be a comment on the podcast group.
Yep.
It could be on the YouTube channel, either the podcast YouTube channel or on the main Rag Company channel. And it's just a way to start some conversations. They're going to be shorter episodes, I think, than the regular podcast we do at the beginning of the week. But this will be a fun way to do some really kind of more targeted stuff where we can talk about specific things that people are addressing to us.
Yeah, and it helps with customer service. So what you guys don't know is we do have a new customer service rep. You've probably talked to her on the phone a few times, Rebecca. She has now moved into a actual position of customer service.
Yep. She's very familiar with everything.
She's our new rep there.
And
she's been an employee for a long time, and so she knows how it works and things work. But it's just trying. You guys have no idea how many questions and emails and texts and direct messages and all that stuff that we get every single day. And she kind of filters a lot of it for us that come in through the main email. But this, if you're on Reddit, Dane always handles that, or any of the YouTube comments. If you're on Instagram, Anthony handles that. And then Dane and I kind of do Facebook here and there. And then on my personal Facebook page, I go through a ton of
and you
stuff.
get lots of emails, too.
And I do get a lot of emails personally. So we thought this would kind of be a fun way to give our customers and our listeners a chance, one, not only to submit a question, but maybe here are, the three of us respond in real time, basically. And
I would like to point out right off the bat that this podcast, while we always advocate being, taking the high road, making sure we take the educational approach, all these things, I am making sure that we're bringing in stuff where people will challenge or pose a question that's clearly very pointed or negative or something like that, and we can show a positive side to things. Yeah. It's basically... You may see, because I picked these out.
Things get lost
address.
in emails and texts.
Yeah.
So some people might think, someone writes a question and maybe they think that it's a very, heated argument.
Yeah.
But three of us can interpret it differently, and you folks at home could interpret it differently, and the original writer could interpret it differently. But any of us respond.
Oh, it's true.
We could come off looking like a jerk to everybody. So
sarcasm
this way,
doesn't translate well on the internet.
Exactly. So this way, if we are sarcastic about it, you will hear it.
Yes, you will see our actual feelings on the subject matter, which I find to be useful, but at the same time, I've been looking forward to this. I consider myself a relatively spicy individual when it comes to
spicy.
Some of the stuff that comes our way, because
extra spicy.
I'm muy caliente.
Well, we'll just say this: on road trips, Dane likes to eat spicy meat sticks
and
Red Bull
drinks.
Energy drinks. So
how about that?
He is pretty spicy.
So before we dive into this, I do want to briefly talk about the new Eagle Sponge.
Woo!
This podcast is brought to you by this product and can be picked up on the ragcompany.com. This new sponge here is our new and revised Eagle Sponge. You've noticed that we've had it not on the store. We haven't had it on the store for about a couple months now. So this is the latest sponge that we have revised with the Eagle 350 material.
It feels even softer.
It feels even softer.
It's a newer Eagle
the
material.
Sponge itself is great. Great for applications of all sorts, whether it's wax, small polished areas, you want to do a rinseless wash, you want to do any type of cleanup with that. This sponge is not only absorbent, but it's soft and safe for your paint.
I had a guy call today and ask if he could use that sponge for wax, to put wax on.
Absolutely.
And I said, yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
I was like, Wow. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks
Sometimes
for
customer
playing.
service is as simple as that.
Yeah.
Somebody asks a question, they just want a simple answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conditioning your leather seats, doing exteriors, interiors, whatever you want to do with this. It's a really nice sponge, so I don't recommend putting it on your tires.
It's not a good tire.
It-
But
It's
on
too
wheels,
nice for that.
maybe. You could do it on wheels.
Wheels,
if the wheels are
absolutely.
clean
Yeah.
and you're
It's for
applying
everything.
some kind
Stick
of...
to painted surfaces or nice surfaces because the sponge is nice and it is Korean quality. So check that out, theragcompany.com. It is available for purchase now.
The new Eagle Sponge.
Now that we plugged that.
All right, Dane. First things first.
So...
Want to talk about
my
Diet
God.
Pepsi and how you guys can go to PepsiStuff.com. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Sorry.
my
Go
God.
ahead.
Okay.
I had to derail that.
Any rate, guys. So... Basically, since this is the first one and nobody knew this is what we were going to do when we, a few weeks ago, asked, would you like to see more podcasts during the week? Obviously, there will be times when we are so busy in a week, there's just no way this is going to be able to happen every week, but we will try to make it a thing as often as possible.
Yeah.
And, of course, you can always count on the regular podcast for, like, what happened on our weekends and stuff, but this one's going to be a little more focused on...
And we'll have some detox casts because we do have some folks coming.
Oh, there's always
in the next
detox
couple
casts
weeks.
happening.
So
Yeah. So this is just another tool in the arsenal, if you will. It's a fun extra thing, and I feel it may stir up some controversy just because, we're going to be addressing some stuff that...
It's going to be some hard conversations.
It's some hard conversations.
It's real talk.
So
it's hard love.
real talk.
I chose the questions and comments you'll be seeing today not because they're easy. No, there's probably a couple easy ones to answer, and that'll be the customer service helpful side of things. But there will be others where, you'll see it and you go, oh, I've always wondered about that, or, oh, I'd heard that rumor, or, something like that. And this gives us a chance to address it directly for the world to see. We're not hiding from anything. It's right there.
Tackle
so
it
we'll
straight
talk
on.
about it.
Yep.
So, anyway,
First question.
guys.
Tim, bring it up.
Bring it up, Tim. Okay. This one actually is a relatively easy
look
one.
at this. All right. Yeah.
So, basically, we've got a comment here on the how to use the ONR with the Big Red Sponge. And the comment simply asks, would you prefer the sponge over the wash mitts? Any specific pros or cons? So we can talk a little bit here about the Big Red Sponge versus, say, like a Cyclone mitt or chenille mitt, anything like that, or dog bone sponges even.
Well,
so.
I this one's kind of, for me, when we get customers to walk in the door, I usually try and get them started if they've never, maybe they're new to washing their car, they're new to rinseless washing, they're not 100% familiar. I usually will get them started with a chenille mitt.
Yeah.
And I know that's what Anthony does too. Yeah. And that's kind of the safest, easiest way to get them started.
And they're inexpensive too.
Yeah. Well, and with a chenille mitt, they have the option that if they get frustrated with rinseless or something, they can literally switch over to soap and water and they have a wash mitt that they can use.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not the case with the Big Red Sponge.
Correct.
So, but once they get used to the chenille mitt and they get good at it and they're comfortable with it and they learn more and more about Optimum and they learn more and more about ONR and that stuff, that's when we bring them in and go, you really should get going on a Big Red Sponge.
Yeah.
Because Big Red Sponge is kind of like the intermediate level. It is easy enough to use that beginners can use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on someone who just can't, because there are folks out there, they cannot wrap their head around it.
No. ONR is terrifying to someone who's not familiar with the concept of
and
not using soap.
Right. But whenever we represent, whenever we say use a chenille mitt, they understand it and they're like, okay, that works really well. Yeah. And they 9 times out of 10 they come back in and buy a Big Red Sponge. Yeah. So in those instances, I like that. However, there is a seasoning period with Big Red Sponges too. You cannot crack a Big Red Sponge open, put it in your bucket of ONR, and wash your car with it.
Right.
It's not going to react the same. Mm-hmm. It has to season, as we say. So I usually recommend for a customer at least a 24-hour soak in ONR. Put the sponge in. If you buy the sponge on Friday, throw it in a bucket of water and plan on washing a bucket of ONR and plan on washing your car Saturday.
Yep.
Give it some time to season. I prefer 3 days sitting in ONR.
And you only have to do that the first time.
And it's
after that,
after that, it's going to live in the ONR.
Yeah.
You never want to take it out of ONR. So it'll live there. You'll get 1,000 washes. And I'm not saying this out of just, marketing.
He's not pulling this out of his butt.
I've done 1,000 cars with a Big Red Sponge before I replaced it. And then I took it home and started using it on my own cars.
Oh, wait. Somebody's going to correct you. It wasn't 1,000. It was 996.
There
it is.
So... And then I washed my car 4 times at home. And
for our very, very specific critical fans out there, I hope you're happy.
I know everything about Levi.
I know everything about me and Diet Pepsi and the beauty that it provides.
But if you say choice of a new generation,
I think that, so the Big Red Sponge, because I actually just used it yesterday. I've used it many, many times, but yesterday I used it on a Mustang that came in for a photo shoot. And it was funny because Bart, our photographer, he pulled out the hose and he said, all right, we're ready to do this big wash because we have all these bug guts on it. And I looked at him, I said, we don't have to do that. I went and grabbed a bucket with a Big Red Sponge and an IK multi-sprayer, and I said, this is how we're going to wash the car. Yeah. And so I was able to do the full wash with a very contaminated car in front of the customer, super contaminated car, and the paint job was actually relatively new. I think he said it was about 6 months old, and it looked really, really good.
We even pulled out scan grip lights, and it was
a 1966 red Mustang convertible with a white top, and he had it. It was his first car, so he'd had it a very long time.
Yeah, but it was really cool though because I pulled out the Big Red Sponge, the multi-sprayer, and I started getting in on the front of the bumper there, and even Bart was sitting there, well, how are you going to get into those intricate areas with that sponge? And I show him how malleable that sponge, I mean, it slides right into those tighter areas, and it's able to get in there, and it does have a nice, scrubbing capability, too, so when you're removing bug guts. But it was an extremely safe wash. I showed the customer, we pulled out the scan grips before and after. There was no swirls, no scratches introduced. But like Levi said, it is kind of like an intermediate wash media. You have to get good with it. You have to know what you're capable of doing and what the limits are of that sponge, and then just kind of be smart about it. Use other things in your arsenal. Use Power Clean to break down really heavy scrubbers. Use Jersey bug scrubbers. Use towels. If you ever need to use a towel with O&R, just throw a towel into the mix just to switch it up.
A Minx is always a great choice for that.
But, I mean, so the Big Red Sponge, is it the answer for every single little intricate area, everything in the car? No, absolutely not. No. But it's using kind of that common sense that it's an easy thing to pick up. It's got really good glide. It feels good in the hand, and it really does clean the vehicle exceptionally well.
And it doesn't scratch.
It doesn't scratch.
Right. Because one thing people will try and do is pigeonhole into you. Oh, you're recommending this particular product. Well, does that mean it's good in every single scenario? No. But it is good. And I will say, out of all the different, wash media you can use, I find that the Big Red Sponge might be one of the most efficient in terms of speed you can finish a car with.
When you get good with it,
it's crazy. You fly with that, and you're still leaving a clean surface. Because that's a big thing. They go, sure, you were fast, but you must have left behind some stuff. I mean, it's a sponge. I could go buy a grout sponge from Home Depot, and it's like not the same thing.
And we did that, actually, on one of our Facebook Lives where we washed the Escalade in the middle of winter. Yeah. And we did it with Dan and Ivan. Mm-hmm. And I washed one side with the Big Red Sponge. Dan washed one side with an Eagle Edgeless. Mm-hmm. And the side that I washed with the Big Red Sponge was actually cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was, it was really interesting.
We had to go back over it a second time on the side with the towel.
People listening to this are probably thinking, or I know what they're questioning. Well, can I do a pre-spray? Can I do? Yes. Absolutely. That Mustang, I did a pre-spray with the multi-sprayer, put a nice fine mist of O&R all over the vehicle before I started washing
collecting all the dust.
And it helps a lot because you're letting the product start to do the work. But then the Big Red Sponge was able to collect a lot of that dirt and contamination off, and then releases it immediately the moment you put it into the bucket. So it's a good product. So I think that really it comes down to user preference. Levi told you if you're a beginner to O&R, start with the chenille. If you're really wanting to step into that intermediate level, pick up a Big Red Sponge and try it out and see how it fits into your arsenal.
And I reiterate for people who maybe aren't familiar with the terminology O&R, they're just used to regular detailing stuff and they haven't heard of O&R. It's a rinseless wash product. It stands for Optimum No Rinse. Optimum is the company that makes it. It's a rinseless wash product, and when they say rinseless, they don't mean you can't pre-rinse it. Obviously not. No rinse just means you don't have to rinse it off when you're done, when you go to the drying process. You can literally dry it as you've already applied it, and then you just dry it off.
Piece of cake.
That's the no rinse part of it. So if anybody says otherwise, they are mistaken.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So moving on.
Tim, next one.
All right, we got a little comment thread. I remember this one. Okay, so for those who are just listening and aren't seeing, I highly recommend for our Comments of the Week series that if you can, go onto the Rag Company podcast channel and actually watch, because we're displaying these comments up on the screen and showing what video they came from so that you can actually, see the exchange. So basically in this case...
Dane, if you want to read the first comment, I'll follow with our comments.
Sure. This was posted on the Adam LZ Wash Wednesday. So you may recall it's probably our most popular video. It's easy to find in our popular videos on the Rag Company podcast channel, the Rag Company YouTube channel. And the first comment was simply a guy, Oki TC, says, the bugs are coming off going into the towel, then rubbing in the same spot almost 6 times. That's how you scratch your paint. Now, of course, I can't read tone into this stuff on the internet, so all I see is what he's saying, and I'm thinking, well, in this video, anybody who's watched it all the way through knows that we polished this car.
Yeah. So our response was, good thing the point of the video was to correct the paint. And that was just saying, that was the point of our video.
It was matter of fact, but I guess that could come off as a little sassy.
We did
I'm a little sassy when I write some of these.
Coating. So, if we did rub bug guts, you have to think about it. Scratching is different than marring. Maybe marring. Maybe light swirling. Maybe.
Any kind of friction.
However, I'll tell you firsthand right now, as the guy that polished that paint, that BMW paint was pretty hard. It took a lot to cut through that. So I really doubt that those bugs scratched it, but that's...
Well, and Adam knows what he's looking at. That's the other thing.
Yes,
in the video, he knows, thanks to talking to Matt Moorman, Obsessed Garage, Adam is very familiar with what marring, scratching, all that stuff looks like, swirls. And, he had the light and was going through everything and checking your work.
Yep.
So.
All right, Dane. So what was our response there?
So I said, good thing the point of the project was to correct the paint. His response was, nice love marks underneath the coating. Well, of course, we aren't going to coat the car and then polish it. Yeah. We're going to polish before we coat.
Yeah,
and
the title of the video even says wash, polish,
coating.
I mean, so, even the order of the words is... So, I'm really trying to give the benefit of the doubt here.
So our response was, as shown in the video, the paint was corrected, multi-step polish, and then the coating was applied and sealed over the corrected surface. Obviously, we want to correct the paint before coating because any imperfections left will be preserved underneath, resulting in the situation you described. But we corrected it, so all you'll see through the coating is a swirl-free paint.
Yes. What did he say, Dane?
His response was where I thought, oh, maybe I upset him and he was being sarcastic because he said thanks in one, and then he posted a second comment replying to his thanks comment saying, for the knowledge.
There we go. Boom. Dropping knowledge bombs.
That happens, but the fact of the matter is that's the way it worked. Anybody can go and watch that video and see exactly
I think
what
a lot
transpired.
of people don't watch the video.
No, they just want to comment. Yeah. So the reason we're addressing stuff like this, I don't want to toot our own horn, but we get a lot of very nice, positive, helpful comments. You're probably not going to see as many of those on the program because, frankly, there's not much to talk about when somebody says, great job, and you're like, thanks.
We'd say thank you.
Thumbs up.
The point of this show is to address things where people have a concern or a question or
confused.
Or maybe I just really want to put them on blast.
Okay,
but,
easy, Dane.
Yeah. Not in that case. That guy was fine. I get some others that make me go, But anyway.
Tim, next one.
All right, next up. Okay.
Right.
This one's fun. This one's more about Levi.
Sealants and coatings from an old detox about a year and a half ago that
you and
Ivan and I did. Good times.
I love this.
So, this is the best.
So why don't you play the commentary?
We're role-playing now.
So Carl Geiser here. He says, "What a pile of crap. These two guys are clueless."
Clearly, we touched a nerve.
Crap. Yeah.
So my favorite part is then Patrick Tuggles comes to our rescue and goes, "Carl Geiser, how are they clueless? They both run very successful detail shops?" ? And what is the response?
The response is, here we go. Sorry. "Patrick, the bald guy would like you to believe he's some kind of chemist. He doesn't have a clue. Here's one example. He says, when you wax a car and you put another layer of wax on it, you just remove the first layer of wax. Absolutely untrue. If you use a pure carnauba wax and layer with another pure carnauba wax, you're not going to remove the wax. There is no abrasive. There is no cleaner in pure carnauba wax. There's not clear on that because I don't think they know the facts."
So
hard-hitting commentary.
Yeah. So thank you, Carl, for your comment.
Thank you. That was a very nice comment.
But
you provide engagement on the videos, even if we may disagree. Yeah. I appreciate when people leave comments like this because it opens an opportunity for a conversation.
So I was going to write a really long response, but this is even more fun. Yeah. Basically, if you watch the first 1 minute of the video, we state that when using traditional paste waxes with carrier solvents
correct
in it,
yes,
you cannot layer
correct
waxes that have carrier solvents in them.
Preach.
It's the very first thing we talk about within the first minute of the video.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe, based on his comment, it literally said what we said in the first minute, but said we were clueless.
Yeah.
So my guess is maybe, I don't know, maybe he was on the phone,
maybe
talking to somebody,
maybe,
or he was, trying to change a diaper on a child or something while
distracted
he was watching.
in some way.
And he missed that first minute of the video.
Yeah, maybe he skipped in because, some detox going a little longer.
Yeah. And other than later on in the video, we circle back to it again and talk about why Dr. G invented Optimum Car Wax and how it is a pure carnauba wax.
Yeah.
And it is a water-based carnauba wax. And you can technically keep spraying that on the product, on the surface, but it doesn't actually build layers because you're spraying it on, it's cross-linking, you're wiping it off.
Well,
so,
it just goes down to like how your paint is only so porous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
there's only so many times it's going to fill
so much, and then it's like,
but
it is what it is.
Yeah, a wax with a carrier solvent. If you put it on there, that solvent has to off gas. That's what turns waxes white.
Mm-hmm.
Once you wipe that wax off, yes, you can put another layer on, but you're putting a wax that has a carrier solvent on a second time, and you're putting that solvent over the top. Most solvents are mineral spirits or petroleum distillates.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wiping that product on the surface of your car again, thereby removing the previous coat of wax that just off-gassed that. You've now put it back into it.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean when we say you shouldn't layer that stuff. The other thing we talk about is always layering a harder, longer-lasting product, like a sealant, and then putting a wax on top of that.
Yeah, pure carnauba wax on top of that. Yeah.
Because if you can do that, that will hold, and that layers.
Yeah.
So we don't say you can't do it.
No.
We give you reasons why you can and also reasons why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And we tell you this is why it doesn't work.
And based on the facts of whatever's in these particular kinds of waxes, the story is different. So
I'm a big fan of a sealant with a wax topper. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful combination.
I knew there would be
that in the video.
There would be some folks who just saw the title and immediately thought, "Oh, here we go. They're gonna." Yeah. And there were some other comments who were like, "What a paid advertisement!"
But my favorite comment though when he said that is that this guy thinks he's a chemist. Ivan about minute 30 later says, "I'm not a chemist.
Yeah,
Dr. G is a chemist. I just work for him."
Yeah.
And he talks to me a lot.
And if those of you that don't know, but Ivan LaCroix is Dr. G's right-hand man.
Yes.
Yep.
And Dr. G is a chemist, but he is not a detailer.
Right.
So he makes a product.
But Ivan is a detailer.
Ivan is a detailer with 30 years experience, plays with the product, and goes, if you could do this, it would work better.
Yeah.
And Dr. G goes, oh, okay, I'll figure that out.
And together, that means they're making products that work.
Yep. Yeah. And so, that if, like we were joking, there's products that Ivan will test that he's been testing for 10 years.
Yeah.
And he'll say to Dr. G, you need to change this because this is what's happening. And Dr. G goes, okay, I'll change it. And a week later, he's got a new sample ready to go.
Yeah.
And Ivan's like, okay, that's really good, but it's almost too good now.
Yeah.
I can't get it off.
There's some very good stuff in the pipeline.
So there's a lot of innovation that goes in there. But again, if you listen to the video and you watch the first 2 minutes, all those answers are answered. All those questions are answered.
I want to address, it's not the comment that was here, but there was the other comment where it came down to talking about how with the spray wax you could do that, and somebody said, "Oh, what a paid advertisement!" Nobody gets paid to go on detox.
Yeah, no, we
except
don't pay
for you.
anybody.
You work here.
I get paid because I work here.
But our guests, they show up on their own dime. So
yeah, we don't pay for people to come hang out with us.
So when they talk about their stuff, they're talking about yes, okay, there may be a little bit of a sales pitch involved because somebody represents a brand and they're talking about their product, but that's as far as that goes.
Yep.
So what you're seeing is what you get.
Yep.
So in that case, I found that it to be an extremely enlightening conversation because that is something that gets passed around these circles very frequently.
And remember, folks, Detox is just a discussion show.
It's a talk
shop talk.
Yeah.
It's just two dudes, three dudes, four dudes talking, telling stories, swapping stuff.
Bunch of dudes in a sweaty swap shop.
Swap shop.
Way to take it there. All right.
But it's just a conversation, and that's the beauty of having it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. You can listen to it. You can comment along while you're listening in your car. You can listen to the podcast versions of it and comment along. You can leave a comment.
Yeah, as Carl here did.
Yeah,
so
that's totally fine. We're
I never
totally okay
want
with that.
to discourage dissenting opinions. I think dissenting opinions
and
are
we don't
helpful.
Guys, we don't know everything.
Just realize, we don't know everything. And we don't pretend we know everything. Yeah. There are certain things we do
Anthony,
know.
how many times did you have to redo that Instagram post today?
Oh my God.
Like 4 times.
I spelled like 5 different things wrong. Like
autocorrect is not
perfect,
your friend,
guys.
Yeah.
Like, just so you know,
I had to go back and edit it a lot of times.
And we would never claim to be perfect either. So
no. We're human.
Yeah,
we're human. It is what it is.
It happens. But basically, I want to encourage people. Yeah, okay, maybe there's a little bit of shaming going on with like this low, content. I don't want to discourage people from leaving, tough comments. That's okay.
Yeah. Come at us, bro.
Just understand that you may end up on the program here and we address it, and it's something that is very addressable. So in this case, it's an educational moment for everybody.
Exactly.
People are going to make fake accounts saying like just the most like crazy things just to get
we'll talk
just to get a rise.
Yeah.
All right.
Tim, number 2, 4,
3, 4,
5, 6.
What number are we on?
Next
Moving on. Oh, okay. This one was on a very recent
subreddit.
Video. So this was posted on the auto detailing subreddit. For those who aren't familiar, Reddit is a website that's basically just a collection of forums. Yeah. And the subreddits are the various forums on the site. So they have an auto detailing one, and a lot of our listeners, I'm sure, are familiar with it. But basically, this was commenting on a YouTube video. One of their followers there actually posted our video that we recently released about using a razor blade for decon purposes on paint, which is scary to some people, and I understand it. But I'll go ahead and read the comment here for those who are just listening. User Firel, I recognize him.
So just so you know, this is from our YouTube video, When Clay Won't Cut It, where Ivan teaches you how to use a razor blade to decontaminate paint.
Yep, correct. So. And it's more than just using a razor blade. Yeah. Spoiler alert, there is actual lubrication involved.
Yeah, there is.
So,
all right.
Firel says, "This is crazy. I love it. There's definitely been some contamination I've fought with that could have used this before. I'd like to know if there are technique modifications for curved surfaces. Concave sections of quarter panels often build up this kind of stuff in my experience, such as like tree sap or just really tough like road paint, stuff like that. And in my mind, that's way too risky to do there. Is there an alternative for that kind of groove?" So, Levi?
That's one of those things that I will tell you after 20 years and knowing how to do this technique, I don't feel comfortable putting a razor blade in a concave surface.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing it on a convex surface, right? Mm-hmm. Convex is the one that pushes out.
Where you're following an arc.
Yeah, I'm okay on convex. On concave, I try and stay away from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's when I'll try and go for chemical decontamination, or I will actually use like a plastic razor blade that I can bend a little more.
Yeah.
That's just, it's the key to this though is for Firel, what you could do is just go to a junkyard, look for a panel, and actually practice this.
Test it, yeah.
Test it out yourself, throw some clear on it, or use the stock clear, do the trick, and try and figure it out.
Find one that's got like hood scoops in it, so you can get into those like
leave it underneath a tree with sap on it. Yeah. Pull it out and then go do some testing and have a heyday.
And just practice on it, and then you're not out a customer's car or your own car.
This is obviously not intended to be always use this and only use this. Not even.
It's just a trick that can show you how to do something else. It's just something to add to your toolkit.
And it gets rid of stuff that you may otherwise have a very hard time getting rid of.
Well, so a good example would be Rob Freddy's NSX.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Absolutely covered in the hardest tree sap I've ever seen in my life, right?
And we had to rub pretty hard to get that off.
We had to rub pretty hard to get off. But my tools, or our tools at hand, we used Stoner's tar and bug remover.
Yep. Yeah, Tarminator.
Whatever it was. So we used that with a towel, And then when we didn't have that, we were just using our fingernails.
Yeah.
I mean, and our fingernails will. Oh, and then clay. And we also had our clay towel.
And to somebody that goes, that's going to scratch. Yes, but we also polished it.
Yeah, we also
it did
polished.
mar it. Yeah, and 90% of the time when you're removing that decontamination, it's because
almost
you are going to
inevitable.
polish.
Yeah. And so, for the flatter areas, if I had a razor blade and some Optimum car wax with me, that would have been much
awesome.
faster. That would have been much faster.
You wouldn't have had to use a solvent that could have that potential to swell and soften the clear coat.
Absolutely. But in that particular. Well, in that particular case, I mean, like, what else could you have done? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was so bad at that moment in time. We had to use that, and it worked out great, and the paint still turned out amazing. He was happy. So, hopefully that answers that for you guys.
Yeah. Yep. So it's not a end all be all solution, but it's definitely useful for when, like as I say in the thumbnail, when clay won't cut it.
Yeah.
Next one, Tim.
Yep. Next up. All right, so this was a comment on the video on YouTube, and People's Choice Mobile LLC. I'm sorry, man, just too many variables involved in this process, referring to the razor blade. Mm-hmm. Although I understand the concept, not willing to do it. There are chemicals out there that work pretty darn well, and with today's paints being softer, not only will you scratch the paint, but you may lift a piece of paint, and now there's a piece of paint missing. Can't buff that out. And there's some truth in there.
That is true, but that goes right back to my last comment. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are chemicals, but like on Rob Freddy's, that we took a risk with Terminator.
Yeah,
and that clear coat, and it could have easily caused that clear coat to even soften even more. Yeah, swell. And we could have put little grooves or towel marks into that clear coat that we would have to try and polish out. Yeah. Or for those of you that are too young to know this, but people used to use Scotch-Brite to remove that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they'd end up scratching the surface, and then they go, you just polish it out. Yeah. This is far safer and faster. And again, if People's Choice Mobile, you have that problem with those variables, again, practice, learn. Go get a junkyard panel.
They're so
all this is a option for you detailers to learn a new trick. Yeah. That's it. It's something to go, I know how to do that, and I've had some practice with it. I can now do it in a situation that comes up. We're not saying don't use chemicals anymore.
Obviously
that's not what we're saying. Just it's a trick to make you a better detailer.
Right. Yeah. It's once again another tool in your arsenal. Like not the only tool.
Well, for instance, and to remember, my wife will come to me and go, I don't know what's wrong. The garage door opener's broken. Yeah. Right? That's what she'll sell.
Some people just don't know where to begin.
That's what she'll tell me. And I'll say, well, what's wrong with it? And she goes, well, I'm pushing the button. Sometimes it's working. Sometimes it's not. I don't know what's up. It might be the opener. It might be the clicker in the car. I don't know. And I say, okay, well, let me grab one of my screwdrivers off the wall. First thing I'm going to do, pull the garage door opener itself off the car, the clicker, and I'm going to check the battery. Yep. That's it. Yeah. That's the first thing I'm going to do.
Yep. Loose connection.
Yeah, I'm just going to check. Okay, well, here's a battery. I'll put a new battery in. Hey, it works great.
Yeah. Done.
It's it. It's done, right? So, but yes, I could have gone in. I could have checked the garage door opener inside and out, push the button, make sure it goes back and forth.
Gotten a stethoscope, diagnose the motor.
Yeah, I could have called a garage door opener company to come out and take a look at it, But I know just from knowledge and learning things that I can swap out a battery. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That same issue could come up the next time we're at a car, we're working on a car, and we have a hard piece of sap that we can't get off, and we don't have a chemical available to us to use. But we do have sandpaper and razor blades.
Yeah. Yeah. You start with the least aggressive method first. You escalate from there.
Yep. And we do have a spray wax. Yeah. All of a sudden, we have an option that we can actually utilize. Or we just go, don't know what to tell you, man. I don't have that product. That place is closed. I can't really take care of that for you. So I'm just going to fix this the way I know normally, or leads you down the road of using an even harsher chemical
Well, and that's
that
something
may end
that
up
came up
damaging the clear.
in the comments. I saw a lot of other comments where, other than the people who went home and tried it and said, wow, that actually worked really well, and they were, fans of it after that. Obviously, I'm not going to use it in every scenario, but there were other people who were like, this looks sketchy. I'm going to go use a solvent instead. And it's like, well, you can do that, but that's another kind of sketchy depending on the paint and clear you're working on. It's, not to fearmonger, but it's definitely as
well, and you think about it, in all
scenarios.
honesty, that hood of that truck, the hood that we were doing that video on, had already clear coat failure on it.
Yeah.
Had all those crow's feet on it, and all those crow's feet are little tiny eruptions.
You had nothing to lose on that thing.
Not even that. If this was a customer's car and they said, can you guys fix that and lighten that and minimize it, I don't want to pay to have it repainted.
Sure.
Because of the open wounds,
mm-hmm.
Again, guys, think of this like skin. These are basically like zits that have erupted on your skin or boils.
Blech.
Right?
Gross.
No, but that's what it is.
Yeah, but you're right.
The word boils just
I
never
know,
sits
but
well
think
with me.
about it. And let's say, unlike your skin can heal around it. These do not.
Yeah.
They just get bigger.
Yep.
Come bigger and bigger craters, thereby breaking more and more clear coat off. So these little craters in the paint, if we take a solvent to those openings, think about any time you've ever had a wound and you wipe rubbing alcohol on it.
Hydrogen peroxide.
It's going to clean it out. It's going to sting.
Yeah.
But in this case, that is the opposite of what you want to do to those little pores. You don't want to put a solvent in there because these are openings to the base coat.
Mm-hmm.
And these openings now have all this stuff. So for us to decontaminate and get all that sap off, this is the best method to preserve the hood.
Right.
Yeah.
We then wet sanded it. We then polished it. We then cleaned it all up, made it look pretty.
Yeah.
But that we don't want to involve in putting a solvent into that surface because that will help cause and speed up that clear coat damage. And you don't know that on the clear coat that you're working on.
And I'm sure some of the folks listening do know that, but I'm sure there are just as many who don't. So
well, and it's not even that. I had employees that, they don't think. I mean, in all reality, right? You're going to have an employee that just, oh my gosh, like Anthony today with your post.
Oh, okay.
You're like, oh my gosh, how did I misspell that?
Yeah, it was
like, it's just one of those things where you're like, but I read it to everybody.
Yeah.
Like I read the post before I posted it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There was like 5 of us you read it to.
Yeah.
And all of us said, yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
Then we looked at it on Instagram. We're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was like missing a word and
Anthony
misspelled.
might be a little dyslexic.
Yeah.
It's okay, buddy.
But
Okay.
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A customer, could give you your car, give you their car, and you and another employer there, and maybe you have to run to go, and you're like, hey, do this step, but you forget to say, whatever you do, don't put solvent or lacquer thinner or whatever you're using on that surface of the paint.
Because if that's their escalation solution,
well, I got to run and go do this.
I got
to run this errand real quick, or I got to go pick up a kid or whatever. And you come back, and your employee's working. They're like, yeah, I kind of got all that stuff off, but now it's kind of acting funny, or it's kind of weird. I was wiping lacquer thinner, and you're like, you weren't supposed to put lacquer thinner on that.
Can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Right.
So
I had an employee that did that.
No.
So anyway,
moving along.
is, this is just a safe tool to add to your arsenal. That's all. And yes, there are other options available. This is just one of many, just like a screwdriver, just like a hammer, just like a power drill.
Don't use those on your paint, but you
choose
get the point.
wisely.
All right.
All right.
Tim, next
Went
question.
a little long. Sorry.
That's okay. It's good information. All right. So on one of our podcasts, actually, this was from the OG Invades Rupas episode, where we were over at the OG event, Obsessed Garage, at the Rupas facility.
That was OG Invades Rupas. Yeah.
So we had a comment from Dallas Paint Correction and Auto Detailing, and he said, I understand Matt's relationship with Rupas. Does the rag company have a relationship with Rupas? ? Do they plan on picking up on your towels, or do you guys hope to sell their polishers? Just curious. Now, Dallas Paint Correction, he's got his channel, and he's got a very big following, growing, and he's actually been commenting a bit on our stuff recently, and I wanted to address this one. So
well, and this is a fun one because that topic has come up
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
More than once, yeah.
More than once. Not only with our company, but with with Rupes.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is, yes, Matt is a distributor of Rupes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Matt is a distributor of the Rag Company.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Rag Company and Rupes have done 5 co-branded events this year.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
We did 1 here, 2 there at in Denver, 1 in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and 1 back east
Yeah.
at Detailer's Domain.
Yeah.
So, yes, we have done a lot of things together as companies. However, they do not carry our towels,
Correct.
and we do not carry their polishers.
No.
Yep.
The beauty of the Rag Company is that we want to provide education. And our location here, our store, our warehouse, our studios, is a giant education center. And we open it up for all detailers to come to. And because of our seat at the table of the industry, we're able to bring in different manufacturers to basically neutral ground
Yeah.
and allow local detailers to come, have access, and learn.
Yep.
Our Rupes events are with the distributor for the state of Idaho.
Yeah.
He shows up with his trucks. He's got all his products. He's got all the Rupes products out there ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Next month,
he's selling the polishers.
Next month, we have Flex North America coming.
Yeah.
And the distributor for Flex pulling his truck up, loading up on
Same
Flex
deal.
tools.
Yeah.
The president of Flex North America is going to be hanging out at the Rag Company, and people can come to the event, the big open house, play with Flex tools, and buy Flex products from MVP Distributing.
Yeah.
Just like they could buy Rupes stuff from Specialty Supply Distributing.
Yeah.
They can
So-
buy towels from us, but they're not going to get polishers. from us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is because we are Switzerland, so to speak.
Yeah, because we're not selling any one.
Yeah, we get that almost greater than distributor access, so to speak, because what we have are friendships.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a relationship.
There is a
in that
relationship.
sense.
We're
Dylan and
friends.
I are really good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys and Dylan are really good friends.
love
Yeah.
that guy.
You know, the whole Rupes team is very close with our team.
Yeah.
We all get along really well when we go to events together or we go trips together.
We have fun.
For Mobile Tech or SEMA or detailing events like we did in Puerto Rico, which was for a distributor of both of ours.
Yeah.
You know, UM Distributors sells Rupes products. They also sell Rag Company products.
Yeah.
Detailer's Domain sells Rupes products. They also sell Rag Company products.
Hey-o.
Obsessed Garage sells Rupes products. They also sell Rag Company products. So the goal is to help our distributor.
I mean, if somebody's looking for some super dark ulterior motive, we like associating with high quality brands.
well, we like hanging out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at the end of the
and
day,
as it
fun.
turns out, the people of those brands that we've chosen to hang out with are really cool people.
Yeah.
Well, when
we
I tell
like
people like our trip back east,
Oh yeah.
like how fun was that? Like
Oh, it was incredible.
It was us,
Yeah.
Rupes. Like so, it was Dylan and Jason, or
Jeremy.
Dylan, Jeremy, and Travis
Mhm.
from Rupes, and then it was Andy and Jason from KXK Dynamics,
Yep.
and us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a work trip. It was
No.
like, buddies all going to one town to do an event together,
Like some people
a
have, like-
wedding kind of
Yeah,
deal.
it's
kinda how it felt,
that's exactly what it felt like.
Or some people have like they go out
like-
camping with a bunch of like work buddies, have a
Yeah.
party or something like that. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, but it was like, but it's being around familiar people that we get along with, and we can
Yeah.
truly be ourselves, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about all those people that we've met in the industry so far. And like I've said on previous podcasts as well, Bob from Flex, right?
Yeah.
Awesome guy.
He's
Another
hilarious.
friend. He's
Love that guy.
hilarious. Every
And
time I'm around
and guys,
him.
he's an old man,
crack-
but he
cracks me
is
up.
so much fun, and we love listening to
yeah.
him tell stories. Because he's an old tool salesman.
Yeah, yeah. He's just he's awesome, but he's also our friends, and that's the thing though. Flex wants us to be friends with Rupes. Rupes wants us to be friends with
Yeah,
Flex.
exactly.
We all, it all works. It all makes
Well,
sense
and,
together.
And for folks that are, maybe wondering, yes, on a base level, I want you, when you're using a Rupes polisher, to think, I need to use a Rag Company towel to wipe this compound and polish off.
It'd be nice.
I want you.
Be nice.
When
What
you're
mind
using,
trickery is this?
I want you when you're using a Flex polisher that you go, I should really use a rag company towel to wipe this off. Basically, if you're detailing a car, I want you to use a rag company towel.
But if you don't, it's not the end of the world.
But if you don't, it's not the end of the world.
We're not mad at people who don't.
Exactly. Yes, we are in the business to sell towels.
Well, and then
we'll brand with a company or do events with a company because we're going to those events because we are going to help our distributor, who therefore is going to sell more towels, which means they're going to buy more towels from us, which is going to help us continue to do the stuff that we're doing right now.
And so, for the people that say, okay, all right, now you're hanging out with only the most expensive polishing brands. You're hanging out with the, why don't you hang out with any of the cheaper brands and things like that? Honestly, it's not that we wouldn't be opposed to it. It's just the opportunity hasn't presented itself. Yeah. And like we said, we've seemed to kind of find ourselves hanging out with these higher quality brands.
I started with a Harbor Freight.
But but like straight up, you have a Harbor Freight. I have a Porter Cable. You've had how many hundreds of Harbor Freights in your lifetime?
And Rupes polishers. I was the first one in the state to purchase one.
Yeah.
It's
in 2012.
That was back before you knew us.
It's like, we're pretty universal in that aspect. It's just, a lot of these, I'll just say a lot of these cheaper polisher companies, a lot of these ones that are manufactured in, China or come from China, that their sole HQ is located there. That's kind of harder for us to co-brand with them. It's harder for us to work with them. And we work for the people that seem to go to the same events and seem to run in the same circles.
Yeah, you're
us.
wearing a Flex t-shirt.
I'm literally, I literally have Flex on my t-shirt. So it's like,
but that's an event that we all, as we don't carry Lake Country, or we carry Lake Country. We don't carry Buff and Shine.
No, we don't.
But we're friends with the guys at Buff and Shine.
Yeah.
Like, it's, even though we're not selling them, we're still friends with them. We still go to events together. Like,
and if you ask us, they're good people too.
Yeah.
We met the guys from Glass Parency this year at this year's Air Force One.
Yeah, those guys were cool
We don't carry Glass Parency, but we were friends with them. They were cool. We loved talking to them.
They did a great video.
And they did amazing video. And so it's just one of those things. I don't want to say, I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth by saying we'll never, ever, ever carry any type of power tool ever in the future. I don't know.
Who knows what the future holds?
Anthony, move your head out of the way.
Oh.
Hey, there's a Simonize logo too. We don't sell Simonize, but we've got a sign in our podcast studio. Well, that's because we went to the Simonize garage when we were back east, and Tom gave us that sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Here you guys go. Here's a cool sign for you."
And I don't think I don't think he thought we were going to put that in a podcast studio.
No, but we did because we like the sign.
I love that sign. Yeah.
Like the sign, like the people behind it. All those guys were so awesome. Yeah. They were good company. So
So it's about making friends and having true friendships with detailers. And like I told my wife, Monday was it was a long day. It felt like a very long day because, we had 2 weeks of people coming in and we were stuck on our computers all day. We did the podcast late and you came in and we're like, hey, let's do the podcast. Dane, it's 2:00 and I haven't even gotten up from this chair. I've been doing phone calls and emails. And
it's been a long day.
It was a long day, right?
We were all just like,
I was exhausted from that weekend,
I did joke with my wife. I said, it was a hard day, but I go, there was 3 fun things that I enjoyed that day. She said, what? I said, well, we did the podcast, but I also got to talk to Dylan from Rupes, because we just called to talk and see how our kids are doing at school and stuff like that. Just, hey, man, how was your weekend? I got to talk to David Patterson of Lake Country and ask him how Auto Mechanica in Germany was, how his wife and kids are doing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just a catch-up, just, hey, man, how'd it go? And then we talked about SEMA and how we're both really excited. And then I called Jason Kilmer.
Yeah.
And asked him, how's the project you and Andy are working on? And those were 3 of the 15 phone calls I did that day, but it was 3 of my closest friends.
Yeah.
Hanging out with 2 of my closest friends doing a podcast. I was like, that day was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was long. But in the end, that was a pretty good day if you think about it.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for where the relationships are in the industry and stuff, we're very transparent about it.
Yeah.
We're open. If you see us, showing a brand or something like that, chances are we like that brand, but we also like the people behind it.
It's more about the people that run it.
Yeah. So to answer the question, I guess in a nutshell, do they plan on picking up your towels? I don't think so anytime soon.
I don't think so.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool if they did down the road. I don't think so. Do we plan on selling their polishers? We don't have any plan of selling their polishers.
We don't.
No. So I guess that's that.
And for that matter, same with the Lake Country stuff.
Yeah.
We sell their pads and everything, but the machine,
they launched a
have
new
that new
polisher
machine,
at
which is
Automechanica.
insane.
Yeah,
We don't have it.
No.
I mean, well, it's not going to be out till January, but still, we're not carrying it. We're not in talks to carry it.
So
So
hopefully that
there's
helps.
your answer.
Next one.
Oh.
What is this?
Oh, this is a text message I got from a friend of ours.
Oh, wow.
In Colorado.
All right.
He said, just had a customer walk in to see the facility. Got to talking, and he was passing through on his way up from New Mexico. I asked him where else he was headed, and he said, I just got done with a tour at blank. And that is the
blank. We're basically protecting the innocent and not so innocent here, for the sake of the story, because you don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
everybody controls everybody, so we just want to put
They
it
got
out
a
there.
tour of another facility.
Yeah.
And so he said, I said, how was that? And then he elaborated a bit and said, well, it was interesting to find out that they make all the towels for Microfiber Madness and the Rag Company.
Dun, dun, dun. What?
That is
Yep.
interesting.
And then our friend said, I had to correct him, but apparently that is their shtick now. They are telling visitors that they make your towels, but that they only keep the best versions of them. The rest of the towels go to wholesalers like TRC to sell. Ain't that some BS? And I said, holy blank, wow.
Holy wow! That not a cuss
Holy
word.
wow.
That was a holy smokes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, and then he goes, yeah, I said I'm straight, but it makes me wonder if they told one guy, I wonder how many others have been told that same BS.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it feels good to be wanted, right? And then crying, laughing emoji.
Oh, and then
And,
this is the best part.
And then he said, however, he was a big fan of the podcast, by the way, and wanted to know when you'd be back this way.
So you're probably listening right now, the guy in question. Now, I can see it right now. There's going to be a bunch of speculation in the comments. People are going to be posting, it was this company, it was that guy. But we're not saying the people or the company
involved.
involved.
Set it straight
but
and say,
the point is,
yeah,
the industry has this thing. It goes around online all the time, of forums, on Facebook groups, all this stuff. Rumors get started, and then people are under the impression. But this, unfortunately, is one of those times where apparently, according to the source, the company is doing this, or somebody within the company.
Yeah.
Maybe not
maybe
not
telling-
an official company line, but this is
Well,
coming from
and
somebody.
let me put it
there.
this way. We know that if the three of us walked into that facility and took a tour, and we had our Rag Company gear on, we would not hear that.
No, we would not.
And the people that we know that work at that facility, if we called them out on it, they would say, we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
What are you
that's
talking
right.
about?
We would never say that.
We did probe a little harder and found out that the guy that did say this was kind of a lower level employee. So in all fairness, he probably doesn't know.
He probably doesn't know, but perhaps maybe was he trained to say that? Was he not trained to say that?
But we don't know that.
That's
We
the
don't
thing.
know that.
We don't know
We don't
that,
know.
so it's all speculative.
We don't know.
But in this case, that's obviously why we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, throwing people under the bus. It's just
baby out with the.
this
I've
is
never heard
basically
that.
Never heard that? That's a
Never
great
heard
one.
that.
That's a very common phrase, Anthony.
Don't throw
I
the
don't know
baby
where
out with the bathwater.
So
It's kind of bad.
this is like a revelation for him. Basically,
Don't forget
this
the
kind of
babies in
stuff
that bucket.
happens. And and unfortunately, in this particular case, this is not the first time, but the second
but the
time
best
we've
was
heard
that,
this being said.
the best was that this is a person who listens to our podcast and was surprised
Yeah.
to find out that this other company produces our towels.
Because apparently it was very convincingly
And
and matter-of-factly
Microfiber
stated to
Madnesses.
him that this
Yeah.
is how this
So-
works.
It's fine that that they said that, but they're wrong.
Yeah. So why don't we
so-
just clear that up really
Just so
quick?
everybody knows.
Just so everybody knows.
There are factories in Korea and China
Yep.
Yeah.
that we have been doing business with since 1999.
Yeah.
Long time.
We have been producing our towels through these factories.
As the biggest,
we are their largest customer.
We're the
Yeah.
largest customer for that make these things. That I guess that request
And
to make these things.
We produce. We buy all our yarn
Yeah.
and we give them to the factory,
Correct.
and the factories produce the towels that we carry
Correct.
with that yarn.
Yes. Through a very long process. It's not
Yep.
literally. It's not one factory.
Yep.
It's a long process.
Yep.
That we have to work with
It's
multiple
very
people to make this
segmented,
happen.
the way it's all put
So,
together.
yes, we do make our towels. in a sense.
In a sense, yeah. The royal we.
The royal we.
Yeah.
We and these factories, who we actually have relationships with.
Yes.
When we are traveling or they are traveling.
Yeah, absolutely.
The owners of those factories, we do meet up to hang out, have dinner, and discuss things.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is normal.
These are people that we see and talk to.
Yep. We Skype call with them in the mornings.
Yep.
We do all kinds of stuff with
They
them.
actually exist.
They are, yeah. So if we have issues, we contact them. If, they send us our, first runs of products, especially if we have a new product like the Eagle Sponge, we ask that they just pull a bunch and send them to us.
Yeah. We always do
we wanna-
pre-quality
we wanna
checks.
double.
We do
Or if they're
double
experimenting with, say, like a new material or something like that, they'll send us a sample and go, what do you think
What
of
do you
this?
think?
And the difference between us and maybe some other, towel companies, whatever you want to say out there, is we're not just picking stuff off the shelf. People seem to get this impression,
Yeah.
if you're buying from a factory, you're just grabbing something off a shelf and calling it something, and then it's branded as yours. No, we actually dictate from beginning to finish what these things will look like, act like. All of the variables are controlled.
Like we may get a towel and go, man, this is a really nice towel. Can you make it in a smaller GSM? Like if it was 100 GSM less, I think it would probably work better.
Yeah.
I think maybe we'd be getting better edges. The towel's too thick.
We make revisions constantly on things. And so if we get something and one of us has a wild idea and we say, well, that's kind of cool, but what if we made this slightly different? What if we made this corner different? What if we made this edge different? And things like that.
And that's where we have more power than some others.
And then what does it do? It goes back
that.
into more revisions, and it goes back into more revisions, and it's not like a perfect process, and it takes a long time.
Sometimes we'll test stuff for years before we release it because we're like, it's still not right yet.
And there is constant innovation.
Yeah.
We look at things and we go, how can we make this better? How can we make this sponge better? It's been a great sponge for 4 years.
Yeah.
How do we make it better? Well, we just did.
Yeah.
How do we make our Dry Me a River towel that is a champion waffle weave from South Korea?
Yeah.
How do we make that better? Well, we did.
Yeah.
We changed the waffle pattern. We lessened the GSM. We thinned it out a little bit. We added a suede edge to it. We did some things that made the towel softer.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we're like, holy crap, that's amazing.
Well,
so we're always innovative and innovating and changing and coming up with things. Yes, there are other companies that are doing things. Microfiber Madness, Autofiber, great companies.
Yeah.
And they make good stuff. You would never hear us say otherwise.
No, and we love, it is so fun when Ian comes out with something and we all go like, why didn't we think of that?
Sometimes you'll see something and you're like, that's a good idea.
We're like, man, wow, that's amazing. Or we come out with something and he calls up and he's like, yeah, you guys, you pretty much killed it on that one. And we're like, yeah, thanks, man. And we know he's doing the exact same thing. He's going, And then there's a smaller company like Towel Pros and Rob Regan, who's just the sweetest guy in the world.
Seriously.
And we love doing stuff with him. And he's called us and said, hey, can you sell this to one of my customers? We're like, yeah, of course, man, not a problem. And it's, there's that, back and forth, we all try to work together because, it's going to make it easier. But
by that same token, it's not some crazy secret cabal like some people are under that impression. It's not.
And just because towels look a lot alike.
Oh, yeah, that is that.
It's not.
Not so much.
Well, there are differences farther down.
It's still a towel. A towel has to be a towel.
At the end of the day, it's a towel.
It is a towel.
There's only so many innovations that you can make where people are saying, they say, that's no longer a towel, I want a towel.
At a certain point, you innovate so much that a towel is no longer a towel.
Then you have to go back and you have to say, okay, we went too far. We have to go back and just make a more normal towel, right? And that's where it's like, people say, oh, there's so many innovations to be made in the towel industry and things like that. We agree there's certain things, but what those people don't see on our end of things is the primary customer that says, well, this is no longer a towel, or this still needs to be a towel.
Well, and you got to look at it from a market standpoint too, like the pearl weave.
Yeah.
People are going, man, you guys are coming out with this new pearl weave, and what's this? Why is everybody moving towards pearls? And I've never seen a pearl weave.
I'm happy with those.
Why do we need to do this? We made a pearl weave 5-6 years ago that we stopped producing.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't selling.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted it. No. It was a good towel. It was a great towel. It just didn't have an application, or the market hadn't achieved to that point that it needed.
Also, this is a case where marketing it can be a very good thing.
Yeah,
it's not always a negative thing like, oh, they're marketing to me.
Either.
Without marketing on that particular product, people frankly wouldn't know how to use it or why it would be beneficial to them versus something else. And it's not just us going, oh, we got to find a way to sell this thing. It's like, no, actually, it is the best at what it does for that particular realm.
Yeah. Well, it needed mass communication to be able for people to figure that out.
And it needed the coating companies to go, this is how we want to remove our ceramic coatings now is with pearl weaves. G-Technique does it. Mm-hmm. Optimum's been doing it for years.
Level, not remove.
Level.
Yeah.
But more and more ceramic coating companies, Guion uses a pearl weave. Mm-hmm. They all recommend a pearl weave to remove their coatings.
Yeah.
Now, why wouldn't we create a pearl weave? If people don't want to pay G-Technique prices,
kind of a real big missed opportunity not to.
Let's have our own pearl weave that we can sell. We can sell at a discount for folks, and people can buy them. Like, okay, let's do it. So for us, it was like, we need to bring back the pearl.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, why? Because of this. Oh, all right. Well, and you show them this is what we need to do.
Not only did we bring it back, but we brought it back, and then we did testing.
Yeah.
And testing with so many different coatings.
So many versions.
Just to make sure that what we were putting out there, we were truly like, yeah, this is what it's meant for. This is what it's going to be the best at. And it has been. And we've had nothing but amazing feedback.
I think that's what most people don't seem to understand is Anthony and I do test just about everything that comes through this door. And
you're not just guys who appear at a video and go, buy this product.
Yeah, no,
you're not Billy Mays.
Guys, we were out there, slinging some compound, picking up some beads on the rotary out there yesterday, wet sanding. We were playing in some clear yesterday.
Yeah.
And we were doing different towels, and we learned a couple things just with the FTW that we were playing with.
Yeah.
Anthony picked up the FTW on a polished section. It was or a compounded section. And was like, wow, look how good this is at taking off compound. And I was like, yeah, okay. I picked it up. I was like, holy crap, this is an amazing towel.
The initial bite was insane.
It was great, and it removed it quick.
Initial compound removal.
Yeah.
But then what did we find out after that?
Then we polished it, and when we went to use the towel to remove polish. And this was a normal polish. It wasn't like Optimum hyper polish or anything like this.
Just a normal
polish. This was just a normal run-of-the-mill polish.
Yeah.
And 4 dots on a pad on a hood. And we wiped it with that towel, and it was sticky.
It gripped.
Yeah. It gripped so hard with that polish that we couldn't remove. We were like, man, this towel is not
like it's not sliding.
This was like an off-the-shelf polish you could get from a store.
Yeah. We were like, whoa, this is not, it was fine with compound. Yeah. But you put this type of polish, and that towel gets sticky.
And that's why you can't have the end-all be-all.
Right. So that's when we're like, well, let's grab a 365 and wipe it off. Okay, that's much easier.
Yeah, behaves differently.
Totally different between a twist loop and a terry weave.
But it's a crime to have so many different towels.
Yeah, exactly. But there's reasons for that. Yeah. Because we're testing, we're checking. So we know, don't ever tell people that a FTW works for polish.
Because
it's gonna be sticky.
It works in a specific scenario extremely well, but outside of those parameters, it's not going to do what you want it to do. Yeah, and that's okay.
It's great for drying. It's great for windows. It's great for
one thing I wanted to get at with
clear raw and vinyl.
With the pearl towel was it's also I really like that the pearl towel is made the way it is 80/20 and a lower GSM and those kinds of things because it goes counter to what a lot of people think that towel companies like us are all about, which is like,
the bump up
the price and bump up the blend and bump up the GSM.
No,
all
this
stuff.
It's like to work
it's
for its purpose
built. 80/20 does have its place. And in this particular case, you don't want a 70/30 towel because you don't want to be absorbing a ton of the coating when you're trying to do your work.
Yeah. And 80/20 is a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So
as
if you want to throw it away, it's a much more inexpensive towel.
Correct.
And what people don't know is edgeless towels are more expensive than overlock stitch.
They actually are.
So for us to make an inexpensive towel, we have to throw an overlock stitch on it.
Yeah.
And we do have a new one coming out that is edgeless.
I think we'll have both versions.
They're on their way. But again, we looked at it and said, we had enough people that wrote us and said, man, I'd really love this towel if it was edgeless. Okay, we hear you. We'll make one. Simple as we let the factory know, hey, we would like, an edged in green and an edgeless in ice gray.
Right. Yeah.
And they say, same GSM, same all that? Yeah, thank you. Because we've already vetted it. Yeah. We already know that's the right process, the right weight, the right blend. That's all we need. So there is. We do a lot of design in the products. I mean, that FTW was a long time coming. Yeah. Those Smittens back there, that was a long time. And then the Eagle 500, you guys don't seem to understand how hard it is to recreate a flagship towel
when everybody already likes
when
the
it's
one you've
perfect
got.
and it's great, and then you have to make it better.
Yeah.
That's pressure, man.
Oh, yeah, it is, man.
I
It is
mean,
pressure.
It
A lot of eyes watching us do that.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
but it's a good towel. So there's a lot. So
Cool.
Yeah. So
we do make our towels.
yes, in
You
the
know,
royal
royal
sense.
we.
Royal sense.
We are not the factories.
No.
We do not own the
No.
factories. I want to make that very
No.
clear
We
for
don't,
anybody
we
who
don't,
says
we don't
otherwise.
get, and we don't get anybody's
claims we say
leftovers.
otherwise.
I want to
No.
throw that out there right now. This
Extremely clear.
And
the
to go
yarn
back,
we get
folks,
is
just so everyone knows,
the top grade
you
yarn.
know, that company, they don't sell 150 types of microfiber.
So I don't even know
No.
how that. I don't even know
They
how that
sell
works. Yeah.
less than 10 types of towels.
So just
So
using very
how do they
basic
make
logic skills.
10 towels, but then
150.
sell 140 of them back to us.
They re-dye them. They
In different colors
They
and
re-dye them
different
different colors,
styles,
and they
and
cut them, and then
they put edges on them, and they do this, and they do that, and they give them all to the rag company.
As soon as you evaluate this
Like,
at anything other than
that-
just surface level, you start to see that the whole story falls apart.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and but they
So-
only sell this many towels, and they only come in this one color, and they only come in this GSM, and they only come from this one factory. But don't worry, we wholesale everything else to the rag company.
If we had as broad of a lineup as
Sorry,
we
that
do,
doesn't make
covering
sense.
so many different things, and we only sold a handful of each kind of towel, you know how expensive those towels would be?
Oh,
It
yeah.
would be obscene. Nobody would pay that.
Yeah.
It's because we deal in volume that we're able to offer stuff at the value we do.
And again, it's because of customers like you guys that
Yeah.
are listening that we're allowed to do this, and we're able to do this because, again, we had the mayor come to check out our
Yeah,
store
it was
today.
this morning.
Yeah.
And he was
Boise.
surprised.
Yeah, we had to say, we were in the garage 6 years ago,
Anyway, huh?
and Dane was the first employee.
Yeah.
And he was the one filling the orders. And Dane, now you have an office. And you have a podcast studio. You know?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
if you guys want to blame
you were
me
in
for
a-
all the media stuff, that's probably my fault because I'm really into video and I wanted to make this into something more than just a place that
Yeah.
sells towels.
Yeah.
So if you're annoyed about hearing about the rag company all the time, point the finger at me. I'll take it.
Just turn off your phones and computers, and you
Well-
won't hear about it.
I mean, you think you see Levi and Anthony all the time because they're the guys. They're the forward face. They're the face of the company essentially. Which
that's- look at that,
they
look
got
how nice-
their pearly
look how
whites,
nice
and
that
you got
looks.
your whole. You know, you
We
guys are
actually
classy.
clean our teeth and go to the dentist.
But if you're gonna blame anybody for just how much you see us, you can blame me. I'll take the hit for that. Also the credit. Thank you, please.
yeah.
Thanks,
no.
Dane. Thanks, you're amazing.
But yeah, so like we said, it's because we're able to grow. It's because we're able to continually up and double and triple in sales because of the growth of the company due to what we do here.
That
This.
wouldn't happen if
And
we
you
were
guys buying our
making
products
bad quality
and
products.
the companies that we work with to help promote our products. We're truly blessed to have that,
Absolutely.
and extremely thankful to be able to do this. And never in a million years, and Jeff has said this, did he ever think we'd be here?
yeah.
We have a video coming out on Sunday that
You guys are
is
gonna like
actually. I'll just say what it is to give people an idea. It's a tour of
Yeah.
the facility,
And it's
it is-
probably the most in-depth tour of the rag company.
You haven't seen a tour like this before. I mean, this is when Pam was here.
Yep.
He walks around, gets the whole look at it, and my dad, Jeff, the
in
owner
it.
here, he's in it a lot, and he talks a lot. I had to edit a ton of his talk out just because he likes to talk a lot,
Yep.
and that's okay. But he comes from a really heartfelt place, and it's not some cigar smoking business swill it whatever.
He's a fat
no,
cat.
I don't
no,
know.
not even.
Has he ever smoked a cigar in his life?
Maybe not since he was a teenager.
I don't know. He's just not that kind of guy.
No,
he's not
that guy. So I think you'll get a better feel for what we're like, what we're about when you watch that video. It comes out on Sunday, I believe at 11 a.m. Mountain Time.
Nice.
So
Excited.
1 p.m. Eastern.
Looking
Yeah.
forward to it. Right
Yeah.
in time for after church.
Oh,
Jump
yeah.
back on there.
Yep. Everybody can
Get your fix.
I think I'll be
have a
going
look
to
at that.
church.
So
What time
that'll
is that
be
coming
on. It'll
11.
come on at 1 p.m. Eastern, so
Oh,
11 a.m. Mountain
Yeah,
Time.
yeah, I'll be in.
Yeah.
Well, no, I go to church 11:30.
Well,
So
you'll
All
see
right.
when you get
Hey,
out.
there
It's
you
cool.
go.
It's cool.
yeah,
But
Cool.
so I really want you guys to go check that out. I think you'll get a really good look at what we're like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
because obviously you watch the podcast and hey, we're putting our best foot forward or whatever, but when you see somebody, you welcome into your home. This is our home. This is our house.
Exactly.
And it's really an interesting look, because I'm sure people have seen tour videos a million times and think they're all the same. This one might seem a little different to you.
Yeah. No,
So,
we think you guys
I just want to
enjoy
put
it.
that out
So, hope you guys enjoyed this little Q&A.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
You guys like that?
And,
You want some more?
Yeah,
Maybe?
yeah, do.
Yeah,
I
let us
think,
let us know down in the comments if you want to see more of these.
Comments of the
We'll
week.
keep trying to find more and more comments. I mean, they happen every single day. You know, every couple minutes we'll find a new comment.
And they could come from anywhere. That's one thing I wanted to point out. That's why I included a text that Levi got, because it could come from anywhere.
Yep.
So
it came from we had a text, we had Reddit, we had YouTube, we had the podcast.
Yeah.
You
All
know.
over. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to this. We really appreciate it. Share it with some people if you can. We really, really, we benefit from that, just having the word spread that way. So if that's something you'd like to do, please do it. We're not telling you have to do it. We just really appreciate it if you do. And another thing I have noticed, and I'm not afraid to say I want you to go do this, is go rate us on iTunes and leave a review.
Please
I've
do.
noticed more of
That's a good
those
idea.
recently. People are doing it.
Yeah,
They're
that's
listening,
nice.
and it's awesome because
literally just put
real
in awesome
feedback. You don't have to sugarcoat it. You can tell us what you really think, but just go leave a review, and we really appreciate it.
It makes our day.
It gets us, it gets us a little more exposure that way,
Yeah.
and then we can talk into more people's ear holes. So,
we appreciate it. Dane likes some ear holes.
Hey, whoa.
It's got weird.
And on that note, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're on the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel, and if you're listening, iTunes, Shout Engine, etc., just search the Rag Company Podcast wherever you are and share it with a friend. Now, till next week, I hope we do this again. See ya.
See you guys.